Rested off a bye week away from the UP&ADAMS show. I think he did some skiing potentially. Our resident Monday guest is back, joining us. Pro Bowl left tackle, 9 seasons with the Tennessee Titans. Oh, and we'll talk about them. Co-host of BUSSIN with the Boys, which is a blowing up. Taylor LEWAN, how are you?
What an intro, Kay. And it's National Championship Day. Talking about Huskies and all that. Brother, listen, University of Michigan, first national championship since 1997. Today is the day. I'm fired up.
How's it going to go? How's it going to go? Talk to me.
I think it's going to go exactly how I want it to go. I'm going to speak it into existence. We're going to stream it from my house on the BUSSIN with the Boys YouTube.
Okay.
But Michigan's going to control the game on the ground. They're going to win the line of scrimmage as they always do. They're going to make Penix feel very uncomfortable in the back end. They're going to have amazing coverages, mixing up zone and man. This team, Michigan's going to win by 10 points, and the over is going to hit. Like, go and book that right now.
You are 4.5 favorites, so you're going to win. You just told me why. Will this be Harbaugh's last game as head coach?
Yeah, honestly, if I was to bet, I would say absolutely, win or lose.
Wow.
I think so. There was something that just came out. I believe Jordan Schultz might have just posted it. Maybe that's his name, Schultz. He said that the Raiders have interest. I know the Chargers have interest. Hell, every single team going through this Black Monday right now has interest in Jim Harbaugh. He's got a winning resume. We saw what he did at Stanford. He took a team to the Super Bowl with the 49ers, and then now taking Michigan to a national championship. The guy's got a winning pedigree. He's got a winning pedigree, and he's not afraid to use his resources like his brother from the Baltimore Ravens.
Do you think he could be a good Patriots coach?
Yeah, I think he'd be a good coach anywhere. I don't think you want to go to the Patriots. If I'm Harbaugh, I'm going to the Chargers, Bears, or I'm going to the Raiders. Those are the three picks. 2
of those 3 teams. I don't know if that's going to work. I don't know if the decimals are in the right spot historically.
You know, if you got a good account, you can move things around. Okay, you know how that stuff works.
Move some decimals around. Okay, you're talking about all these firings going on. The biggest off-field news last night, of course, Washington parts ways with Ron Rivera this morning. But let's get into the Atlanta Falcons firing and parting ways with Arthur Smith, because you've tiptoed around firings all season, but now we've got concrete stuff to talk about. You know him well from your time in Tennessee. He was 21-30 in 3 seasons. Why did this ultimately not work out in Atlanta?
The reason why it didn't work out is because they didn't score as many points as the other team playing against them. That's how it works. It's cut and dry in the NFL. It stands for not for long for a reason. That goes for players, and that also goes for coaches. Arthur Smith is a great coach. You've seen what he did, and when he was the OC for the Titans, putting up 35 points a game, goes down to Atlanta. I think he stayed with Ritter a little too long and then ended up kind of bouncing around a little bit. But you know, you have that kind of record three seasons in. That's kind of like the normal sample size they give coaches before they either move on or extend in those types of situations. I didn't like the end of the game. I mean, for the Saints and the Falcons running it in, the touchdown, that's love the fire by Art. But, yeah, I mean, in this situation, the record's going to speak volumes. I'm a huge Art fan. I think he's going to have another opportunity to be a head coach someday. And when he does, he'll definitely learn from whatever the mistakes he made.
Let's talk about this, because the Saints were up 41-17. That's what you're talking about. There was like a minute something left on the clock. And instead of kneeling it out, they score a touchdown. After the game, Arthur Smith sort of, as we're looking at this, he let Dennis Allen know he wasn't happy. Listen.
Career. Oh, and Arthur Smith's hot. That Dennis Allen scored a touchdown at the end. He is hot. He said, "What are you doing?" And he's going at Dennis Allen. I understand that. You can read his lips, and you know. And I think he's got it right, by the way, to do that.
What do you make of that?
It's completely understandable why Art's mad. For me personally, like a divisional game, rivalry type game, I love it because it plays into the rivalry. I love it. Like just when Ohio State scored on Michigan, they were up a whole bunch and they went for 2. And they asked the head coach after the game, why'd you go for 2 and not hit the field goal? And he said, well, because I couldn't go for 3. So I think from playing into these storylines and playing into rivalries, I like it. I hate it for Art that he was on the receiving end of that. I've already kind of said my piece, how much I love him. And it is a scummy move by the Saints head coach, but you know me, I love the damn storylines. I love it.
Let's talk a little bit about, we'll get to the Titans. It's just not the story of the day, so I don't want to start there. It's, it's the super wild card weekend. That's what we were here to analyze. So let's talk about your Cowboys, who you've had a beautiful, really truly like a marriage, like ups and downs for better or worse. We're going to do this thing. And since we last spoke, they beat the Lions yesterday on the road. Hey, they dominate the Commanders. We needed to see that. They are the NFC East champs. They get the home field, all of that. What's the heat check on you and Dallas up against McCarthy's former team, the Packers, who have a healthy Aaron Jones, might get Christian Watson back, and Jordan Love looks like an all-pro QB right now.
Well, okay. I love how you put it as a marriage. And I do have a lot of respect for Dak, for all those guys. I think there's a lot of great players in the Dallas Cowboys, a lot of talented individuals. However, I will be going to the courthouse this afternoon, and I will be filing for divorce against the Dallas Cowboys. I just don't see them winning a Super Bowl this year. I think they actually lose to the Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love's team going into this game. Listen, I hate it. I hate the fact that I'm sitting here and making the boys in Dallas feel bad, and I hope they use it as bulletin board material. But for me, I'm going to have to get out. I'm going to have to get out of this relationship. I'll take my 50%. I'm going to go. They made the mistake of not signing a prenup, and I'm going to get what's mine.
Oh, my God. I'm going to get what's mine. And I'm looking at the lines here on FanDuel Sportsbook, at least. It's Cowboys -7.5. So you have them losing on Wild Card Weekend at home. Is this saying more about the Cowboys, or do you kind of see what the Packers are doing and think that they might be able to be disruptive?
I think the Packers can be disruptive. I think the Packers can be disruptive. I think Jordan Love, he's had an up and down year, but way more ups than he did downs. Right before their bye week, he was looking bad. He came back from the bye week, didn't look good. And slowly but surely just started getting better and better and started to look like a seasoned vet. Had some great games, and you brought it up in your first segment about Aaron Jones. His ability to change the game from a running and from a passing standpoint, I think they are going to give Dallas a whole bunch of problems.
You were at a game this weekend, which I think is awesome, and a very special game, an important game. Your Titans knocked out division rival Jags. Before the game, you tried to take out your old coach. Talk me through this.
Listen, Vrabel is the best, dude. He's all time. And I see him dapping up Willie, and I go in, and you've seen him in the media, how he's been just Mr. Grumpy Gills. Just a grumpy guy. He yells at the guy, this effing sucks and all that. And so, just get in there, kind of get him to zoom out a little bit. It's been a tough season for the Titans. Obviously a big win yesterday, but I kind of wanted to rile him up a little bit. And it was just really good to see him. He's an outstanding individual. And he still gives me the, oh no, there's coach vibes. Like he was on the show a couple months ago, and even when he was there, I was like nervous that I was going to get yelled at for something. So I'm a big fan of Vrabel, and I think the Titans have a great head coach there.
What is Vrabel's, the quickest way, if I wanted as a player to get him to yell at me? What's the low-hanging fruit?
Yeah, just go ahead and mess up once in practice during camp. You get the first day of pads. I think I told this story before, but we were practicing against Tampa Bay, and it was right after I signed my deal in 2018, and JPP with 3.5 fingers puts a dirty move on me, absolutely filthy, had me guessing which way he was going. And he pops that thing up on film in the team meeting room in front of the entire team, staff, 93 guys, however many it is. And he just looks, he goes, "Are we paying you for this? We paid you all that money to put a product like this in the field?" Like the thing I love about Vrabel, besides Jeffrey Simmons, he'll go at anybody.
Mm-hmm. He certainly will. We'll see if he stays put there in Nashville. Predictions for him. Did you watch his last game as the head coach of the Titans? And also predictions for Derrick Henry, who, of course, addressed the crowd, and that was pretty interesting. Yeah,
I think I love Amy. Amy Adams-Strong, she does a great job. She's revitalized that franchise since she's taken over. I think if she decides to part ways or move on from Vrabel in any way, I think it's a massive mistake. I think it was very obvious that this team, from a talent standpoint, wasn't competitive this year. They have a whole lot of holes they need to fill in the offseason, but the good news is they have $98 million of cap space and a top 10 pick and a lot of wiggle room with Rand taking his first year as a GM. They have, I think next year, he's going to be looked at with a much more critical eye, but I've never been around a coach, high school, college, NFL, where he doesn't let the guys know the rules, teach them the rules, and use it to their advantage. And he gets guys ready to play. And I think that this year, as unfortunate as it was, what a great win in Week 18 to absolutely spoil Jacksonville as their Twitter accounts putting out, selling playoff tickets just to find out that, boys, you ain't going to the playoffs. You're going to Cancun with the rest of the boys from Tennessee Titans. So I think it'd be a massive mistake to get rid of Mike Vrabel.
And then we have Derrick Henry. We'll see what happens with him. And if he's in another jersey, it would be weird. But I think it's, you parted ways with Tennessee. And so it's nice to hear you speak with such high regard for an owner when you could be, have different feelings about what happened organizationally. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's one of those things, Kay, where if you are as lucky as I was to be a part of a franchise for 9 years, to win 5 games in the first 2 seasons, and to be a part of, a team that goes to the AFC Championship, a team that was the #1 seed in the playoffs, to make those Pro Bowls and to have the instilled trust of having a second contract in a franchise. Things didn't end the way I wanted them to, obviously. But like the level of gratitude you should have is exactly what Derrick Henry exemplified when he was walking off the field. That guy is, in my opinion, the best running back in Tennessee Titans history. Oilers, all of it. He is, to me, the greatest back to ever put on that jersey. I hope to God he's with the team next year. There's a couple of records that he can easily break if he has one more season. He's an interesting free agent choice as well, because he's a running back that you need to tailor your offense around. He's not going to be a guy that's going to be in third down. He's playing, first and second down only, but he's a guy that consistently, with a line that struggled this year, still had a sneaky 1,000 yards and over 10 touchdowns. And so for me, Derrick is a once in a generation talent. I hope he's in the two-tone blue again.
I mean, you're talking Earl Campbell. You're talking, and you're saying he's the best to do it. So, I mean, an absolute legend, and hopefully he finds himself still there. Hopefully Vrabel is the coach. It'd be interesting to see, in the case of a switch up and it's just business, like, does he gather, attention from New England? The connections are cute and easy there. Then Harbaugh to Nashville might be something that I think that, Taylor LEWAN would champion and sort of be on board with.
I would love that. I think let's just play the hypothetical game. Let's say Mike Vrabel's relieved of his duties.
Wow, Taylor's going to play the hypothetical game. Yeah. Let's go.
There's not a chance in hell that every team that has fired their coach is not interested in Mike Vrabel. That'd be the Falcons, that'd be the Panthers, that'd be the Chargers and the Raiders, that'd be the Bears, that'd be literally everybody. Yeah. I know the Raiders and the Bears haven't made their decision yet, but Mike Vrabel is that type of dude. The Patriots would also be a big key one, have their prodigal son come back home after being inducted in the Player Hall of Fame. But I think it would be a massive disservice to the city of Nashville if he was not a part of this team.
What do you make of this? Like just the return thing just brings me to these storylines for Wild Card Weekend, right? Like Packers, McCarthy, and then you've got Tyreek, KC, all of that. Like, how much should I be buying into that using your personal experience? How much should I be buying into whether or not it matters or it weighs on people or it motivates them to do better?
Oh, it's an absolute motivating factor. Luckily, I was with one team for my entire career, but you look at a guy like Ben Jones, who played for the Houston Texans for a long time and then came over to the Titans to play with him for 7 years. Every time we played the Texans, it meant more to him. Every time, we stepped into Houston and played at their stadium, it just meant so much to him. He knew it. The guys knew it. We literally played for Ben in a lot of ways when we played the Texans. And every time we would catch an L from them, you kind of go pat him on the shoulder and be like, brother, we're so sorry we lost it for you. Because, you take those things personally. That's what allows you to be such a competitive athlete in the sport, is not only the talent and the ability to process all the information in a short time, but also being able to constantly keep this Michael Jordan-esque, I'm taking it personal, even though no one else is making it personal. And when you leave from one place to go to the other, I don't know, are the Rams playing Detroit? Are they playing Detroit?
Uh-huh. In Detroit.
Stafford.
Golf the Lions, against McVay.
But Stafford's going into Detroit when Detroit's hosting a playoff game. That's just a nasty deal. And I don't even know if Stafford wants to win that game. It's nuts. Well, obviously he wants to win the game, but I think it's crazy, and it makes for it's so cool to see, these teams that are playing each other in their history. And then you look at the individual players and you can be like, man, there's just a level of different dialogue going on mentally with these guys, which it fires me up.
I think if you're Jared Goff, you're more revved up because you have not more to prove, but you really want to stick it to a team that got rid of you. And then that team went on and won with Matthew Stafford, right? They won the Super Bowl. They didn't do it with Jared. I think that's a little. I think that if you're knee-biting head coach, you're using that as motivation this week. Like, you're really like, whereas Stafford's like a made man kind of, right? It all worked out, and he's not going to get like booed. He's not going to walk into. They're going to clap for him. They're going to stand for him. They love him. I don't know if Stafford's going to have that. It's interesting to think that for you to say that.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying with Jared Goff, especially with Stafford going and winning a Super Bowl with the team. He essentially had to leave for Stafford to go in, but Stafford playing so long in Detroit, and then the D-Town's just so fired up. They're hosting a game, and I know it wasn't on the show 2 weeks ago,
so fun.
but they should have been fighting for that number 1 seed if it wasn't for the dumbass referees messing that whole situation up. But damn.
You've been buying Detroit this whole week, this whole year. It's so I love that you love that. It's just a celebration of it being fun. Speaking of celebrations, I hope that's what this is. I'm told during the game, which you were at, you certainly, the camera found you. You met the moment. How would you rate your performance here? I like it.
I think it looks a whole lot better on the clip than it actually felt while doing it. And they told me they're going to put me in the Jumbotron. They talked about the beer a little bit. I had to tell my daughter. So there's another one I did with the Preds with my oldest, but both my kids were there.
Of course.
And I had to sit there and be like, hey, they're going to put the camera on Daddy, and Daddy's going to have to chug booze. And I'm going to have to spit it everywhere. And just know that Daddy's doing it for fun for everybody. And they're like, okay, Daddy, yeah. So I finish it. And you see my daughter in the first clip, my 3-year-old, she's eating a caramel apple. And we finished the whole thing, and my daughter, she was eating the caramel apple, and she goes, "Daddy, you got booze all over my apple right after it." So it was just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and my kids, they buy into it. We were on the sideline in the pregame, and I'm signing autographs, and my oldest daughter's like, "Why do these people want you to sign autographs?" And it's kind of a weird thing to explain.
Yeah.
But I ended up getting a couple flags and having Wynn sign a couple herself, and it was a cool experience. It was a very cool for my kids to really process that information.
Of course, you're celebrating. Be there. They get the win. It was really one of the biggest games of the day, if you think about it, because they eliminate the Jags. They also give the Texans the AFC South Division Championship. I'm sure Titans fans aren't happy about that, but they put the Steelers into the playoff mix. Like, a lot happened based off of that game. Let's move on to the Texans here a little bit, because they've been a great story, a great great celebration. Do they have what it takes to make noise? Because I know that you have a lot of respect for this Cleveland Browns team, especially defensively.
Yeah, I think they absolutely do. You see, when you get a rookie quarterback in a win and get in situation away in Indianapolis, and for him to, in the first play of the game, do a play action pass bomb to Nico Collins, Michigan guy, go blue, go blue. Mm-hmm. You get those types of guys he seems like he's just got that classic phrase of ice in his veins. I think, I gave him flowers the day before or the day after, where the Texans truly have a quarterback for the future. They have a quarterback that can win them a Super Bowl. Is it this year? I don't think so, but I do believe they have every chance as any other team right now. You've seen the way that some of the teams they played this year, the Texans can really make some noise in this playoffs.
When you look at this playoff picture and how it worked out, if we can pull up the full screen for Super Wildcard Weekend, we've got obviously the Monday Nighter. Listen, Bucs won the division. They could take down the Eagles. What sort of draws your eye? What's the intriguing storyline for you?
I think the intriguing storyline is the Buffalo Bills for me. I mean, even before they catch the win and get the 2 seed, we pronounced them dead in October, November, and now for them to be the 2 seed, I think is just awesome. And Josh Allen didn't play well yesterday. He had, a turnover in the end zone. He had 2 turnovers through the air and then 1 getting sacked. So, they didn't play well, but their defense held a high-powered offense to some low points, 14 points, I believe it was. And then a special teams play to get a minute. It's a team that's truly playing as one, which I really love. And another team too, the Bucs. I think Baker Mayfield is going to upset the Eagles. I think the Eagles are, what they've shown, and obviously Jalen Hurts having that middle finger dislocated yesterday, I don't think he's going to be able to play. It's one of those deals where it just seems like once it started snowballing for the Eagles, it's just not going to end in a good way.
You look at this Eagles team, and by the way, no fractures is what we're hearing with the finger, which is great and good news. The Philadelphia Eagles punter, did you see this?
Is this
like the Eagles can't even flop correctly, Taylor?
Yeah, that's a tough deal. I don't know what Buddy's doing with those hips right there. That's a little wild. It's an eagle not a little too long. That boy get a little crazy on Sunday night. Am I right? That's a little nuts. But no, I mean, that's a hilarious clip, and he's obviously trying not to get a penalty for hitting the punter. But it is one of those things where it's like you have so much leadership, you have so much, age in a good way with Jason Kelce and Lane Johnson. You got Brandon Graham on the defensive line that you just would think they would have figured it out. There's talks about A.J. Brown holding a players-only meeting. They have so much talent.
They have so
much talent. For them to just kind of falter the way they have, I don't have an answer for it, but it is one of those deals where, it's like, how could that happen?
When a players-only meeting happens day of, and that still happens, what do you do? Deshaun Jackson was on the show Friday. And he's like, I don't know how they pull. I mean, this is a team that was like 10-1. It's not talent. It's not a finger. It's not like the Bucks might beat them this weekend. What do you think of that? Who wins? I think
the Bucks do win this game. I think when it snowballs, we said it on our gambling show, Slips and Picks. The Eagles needed to get this win, not for anything other than just getting into the playoffs with some steam, with some momentum, something going on, because they've dropped so many of their last however many, and it's just, it doesn't look good. Now, Baker Mayfield's an absolute wild card. He could throw for 700 yards or have 10 picks. Like, he's one of those guys. But, the Bucks are a team that, we're in a situation where, I think there's 3 guys in the NFC South, 3 teams that were fighting for that division championship, and they end up coming out of it. They are rolling with the momentum right now. And I know we're a week away from the games, but I just don't see the Eagles pulling it together all of a sudden in the playoffs.
Where do you think Bill Belichick goes?
The most I've heard talking to people is the Chargers, but I really think that teams are chilling out right now after this national championship, and then are like, it's going to be Harbaugh mania. Everybody's going to want Harbaugh. And it's like, I would love him to stay at Michigan, but I don't think he's going to. And I think once Harbaugh decides where he's going to go, then every other domino piece falls into it. But if there's a place that Belichick can be successful, I mean, he could be successful anywhere, but the easiest path for him would be the Chargers. He's got a quarterback that can throw. He's got a lot of talent on the defense. Mm-hmm. He brings in the culture and the attitude of the Patriots way into the Chargers, and that defense will start playing a whole lot better with their spin the dial type of defense they run. And I think that would be a quick turnaround for that franchise.
Picturing him in like the baby blue cutoff sweater with the bolt, this doesn't work. It just doesn't work for me. I think it's more of like the front office part of it isn't a fit for me with him, like just with what that organization is to what I don't know how that meshes, but it could happen, and we'll see. It would be wild. Before you go, can you say something nice about the Huskies?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Like, you guys got cool colors, and you guys are going to the Big Ten this year, the most competitive conference in all of college football. Like, good for you guys. I hope Michigan leaves so it's not as hard on you guys. Yeah. But fight out there, boys. Give them hell. Give them the best shot you got. Make it a great game. And I'm rooting for you guys to be in the game. I would love to sit there and sweat it out a little bit.
Wolverine versus a Husky. I could do that matchup before. I couldn't even tell you Penix, right? Penix. I know so little about college football, but that's why I have guys like Taylor Lewan stop by the show. You are the best. Enjoy tonight. Chug some beers, and it was very cute. You pretending that your daughter doesn't know that you chug beers like regularly at home. Like, that was very cute. Daddy, what are you doing? Like, she was probably like, yeah, cool, Dad. Just another Tuesday night at the house.
Yeah. Oh, my alcoholic father is at it again. What's he doing? I know.
I mean, but eventually she's going to have a Google machine that's going to be like, you're just a master. She's going to love that about you. If that was my dad and he knew how to like shotgun beers at an Olympic level, like, that'd be pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's a special talent to shotgun a beer, and I hope my daughters do not possess that. I don't hope they don't possess that, but I hope they can appreciate the greatness, Kay.
Appreciate greatness. That's all. We're just celebrating greatness on the show. Taylor LeWan, BUSSIN with the boys. Great job. We'll talk to you next week.